In one now. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm clearly out of a job. Oh, here he is coming in now. Yeah, Peter Troy Davis in the Autogyro. Very neat machine, isn't it? And definitely captivates you. And also, he doesn't really have to go very far to demonstrate it. In other words, he can operate in a very small area. So the whole concept of these aircraft was invented by a guy called Juan de la Sierra in 1923. And what you've got to bear in mind is that was only 20 years after the Wright brothers first flew. So it was a pretty a distinct, not only pace of development, but also quite a departure from conventional fixed-wing flying. And what Sierra was trying to do was basically invent an aircraft that could fly slower, couldn't stall, and therefore less likelihood of crashing, because in the early days of aviation pioneering, there's quite a lot of that going on. Well, Autogyro was the trade name for Sierra's aircraft, but nowadays they're just known as gyrocopters, gyroplanes, autogyros, or just gyros. And they were the very first rotary wing aircraft to fly successfully under full safe control. As Simon was reminding you, therefore, oh, look, you're going neat sideways flying there. The blade on the top, the rotor disc, only operates by the movement of air going through it. To move the aircraft through the air, therefore, it needs another little engine. That's the one you see on the back there, which pushes it into the air to get it airborne. And then as soon as you've got that, of course, you can then use the other rotor, which is spinning for lift and maneuverability. It's a really neat little aircraft, a tandem two-seat aircraft. The engine on the back is a Rotax 914 of 115 horsepower. Designed in Germany in 2009, a comfortable touring machine, quite spacious, cabin heater and adjustable seats, and pretty much can fly in all sorts of conditions as well. It's not at all badly affected by strong winds, as you see here today. In fact, it almost helps, because you don't really need to go forward very far. Just a few feet is all you need of forward movement by that small engine to get the rotor blade turning. It's a pretty lightweight machine as well. It can fly up to 120 miles an hour. Cruise around the country easily at 100 miles an hour, and climb rate is pretty good as well, but its takeoff and landing distance is tiny, somewhere around about sort of anything 20 to 50 meters. And a very good fuel burn and fuel capacity. Just a bit bigger than your average car fuel tank, 76 litres. Can keep you flying for 4 hours at around about 12-18 litres an hour. And we were referring, when talking about the James Bond movie there, to Kenneth Wallace's famous Autogyro. Ken, a hugely well-known, made flying autogyros and other operations a massive part of the aviation scene in UK. And Little Nelly was built in the 60s. And the film actually wasn't Goldfinger, it was You Only Live Twice, but most of us do remember the other movies for various other reasons, mainly the cars, except the aircraft. Although interestingly enough, in one of the more recent ones, of course, we had the Britain Northern Islander involved skiing down the mountains. Peter Davis himself, a really accomplished aviator. Been flying for the best part of 40 years or so, and gyroplanes for at least half of that. He's been displaying the Autogyro series of aircraft certainly since 1991. But also you've got a number of other achievements in general aviation as well. He was awarded a gold medal in the World Microlight Championships. He also has distance records and flew around the world in the World Air Race in 1994 in a friend's Cessna Conquest aircraft, and therefore is recorded as one of the Earth Rounders. He also took part in the first World Air Games, and otherwise known as the Olympics for Aviation, getting fourth in the World long distance navigation competition. He's flown all sorts of aircraft as well, from hang gliders through to Wessex helicopters, and also the world's largest biplane, the AN2. The whole essence of displaying this aircraft is to keep it up very close and personal with you guys out there. Keeps it fun, exciting, exhilarating. You'll see him waving to you as well at various times. He used to wear port starboard gloves, big gloves, green and red pair. I'm not sure whether he still does that. He's just down the far end away from me at the moment. Just hear more aircraft coming up, checking in with us, so they're showing back on the road now and running well. Not such a set sequence. Peter very often fits in with the conditions and also the fly line. Here you see keeping it very close and tight to the main centre of the display area, and really being able to manoeuvre, literally holding it on to the strength of the wind that's blowing at us all here this afternoon. That little Rotax edging there, really sort of winding up there to get through those manoeuvres, and yeah, it's really, really extraordinary. You can virtually stop, turn on a sixpence, and all stay perfectly in control. And if the engine failed, it really doesn't matter at all. It just falls like a sycamore blade under control all the way down to the beach there. So got the use of the two-blade teetering seesaw rotor. It just reduces the complexity of the system and thus the weight and cost of the machine.